We are talking about owning real estate in self-directed retirement plans on this video. Are you ready? Let's go! Hi, thanks for tuning in. My name is Dean Ueda and I am a real estate investor and realtor in Honolulu, Hawaii. On this video, I interviewed Dan Falardeau of New Direction Trust Company. Dan and New Direction help people use their retirement plans to own alternative investments like real estate. This interview is a little long, so I put timestamps so you can skip to the topics you may be interested in. I really appreciate Dan because, like me, he has self-directed IRA that he owns real estate in. Always great to hear from people who walk the talk. Let's get into the interview. Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I have Dan Falardeau with New Direction Trust Company with us today. Dan, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dean.
And let's start off with the disclaimer. All information and material are for educational purposes only, so please consult with your attorney, CPA, and financial advisor for any legal, tax, or investing advice. So Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, well, thanks for having me this morning. I'm originally from California. I moved out here 30 years ago, so I've been here a while, and we've had the company since 2007. Yes, 2007 here in Hawaii. It's been a while for that as well, so it's been over 15 years, and we started with no clients, as most small businesses do, and then you build up over time. So we have about 1,000 clients locally in Hawaii, which is wonderful. And I enjoy life in Hawaii, as most of us do.
That's cool.
A lot of
Yeah,
things to do. I got the sailing bug last year, so I've been taking sailing certification. So that's kind of my new hobby.
Oh, neat. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I haven't bought a boat or anything yet, but I'm trying.
I think I met you for about 8 years ago. I think 2015 through Mitch when I opened up my self-directed IRA through you folks. Yeah.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I think you guys are called. You had a different name back then, also. Yeah.
Yes, we started out originally as Entrust Hawaii. We were a franchise company, and then we bought our way out of the franchise and got to keep the clients and keep the structure. And as we grew all the way to a trust company. So that's the development of the company.
Cool, cool. Well, why don't we just jump into things? Talk about
Sure.
the SD IRA. What is a self-directed IRA?
The self-directed IRAs is just a term. The legality is it's still an IRA. So it's like any other IRA. It's an individual retirement account. Retirement accounts usually fall under two different categories: individual retirement accounts and company sponsored accounts like a 401k. So they're either just you saving for your retirement or the company that you work for, putting in as well. So those are the two kinds of plans. And we handle individual retirement accounts. The thing that makes it self-directed is that we're neutral custodians. So we don't sell any investments. We don't promote this over that. It's always the self as the client, and what they put in their IRA, what their IRA holds as assets, is always their decision. So their choice. And in Hawaii, it's usually real estate or some kind of investment dealing with a real estate investment. But we do follow the same IRS codes, same rules about contributions, distributions, prohibited transactions, disqualified people that any other IRA would have. The difference is the asset itself, that we allow the clients to invest in whatever they choose that's legal by the eyes of the IRS, which is many more things that are yeses than nos. Nos are collectibles, like you can't put a baseball card collection in an IRA, and art, wine collections, things that have valuations that aren't really fixed. So the IRS wants to know what the IRA is worth. And when it's in a collectible, for example, precious metals are allowed in an IRA. You could invest in gold, but a collectible gold coin collection has a value that's much higher than the weight of gold in those coins. So collectible coins, they're not allowed in an IRA. The only precious metals, physical metals, are allowed at the value of the weight of the precious metal.
Okay,
But
okay.
the other side of that is pretty open as far as whatever the client chooses it to be. And we see some very exotic alternative assets, for example, koa trees. Koa trees as an asset. There's koa trees on the Big Island that are being sold that are a long-term investment that you buy when they're young and they grow, and the plan is to harvest them and sell them as timber. So
Yeah. Well, those
that's
are
not
endangered,
something.
right? Aren't koa is endangered, right?
These are specifically planted for harvest. So that's pretty out of the box to most people when they think about what their IRA, what their retirement account owns. To own timber koa trees on the Big Island, but yet we have hundreds of those clients.
Uh,
But most of the investments are very common. That I try to tell the clients, whenever you see an investment that interests you, anything that you could invest in with your personal money, you could probably invest in with a self-directed IRA.
oh,
So when you see something, don't think, oh, it's not a mutual fund, I can't invest with my IRA. It's possible. But the number one asset is real estate. And it's most people, well, many people that live in Hawaii that have IRAs of a certain size also understand real estate. They might have a personal condo that they rent out, and therefore they understand being the landlord owner versus the tenant paying the rent to them, so they get that rental income. But when it's the IRA owns the property, then it's just the IRA is on title. The growth and potential appreciation is deferred till they're retired and they take out distributions. But the rent check goes to the IRA, not to them personally. So it doesn't affect their current year taxes. So that's very simple because they already understand about how rent helps them as property owners.
so you folks, New Direction helps the self-directed IRA owners be in compliance with
That's
the.
correct. That's really our main focus, is keeping the clients on the straight and narrow. It's not that difficult, but clients always have questions about, can I do this? Can I do that? And we give them the information that they need to make the best decisions.
That's great. No, and it gets me excited because working in as a W-2 employee for 20 years, our options were very limited in terms of whatever 401k administrator the company had, and within that venue there were only a handful of mutual funds that we could put our retirement funds into. No control over, besides what we're putting into, also potential expenses or fees that were being charged to us and all that kind of stuff. So that's why when I found out about the self-directed IRA and you folks, I was very excited. And disclaimer is that, or in pure transparency, I have a self-directed IRA through you folks, and I have real estate. I've owned since 2015 over in Las Vegas. So that's I think is so great for New Direction, and to offer these kind of products for people like me. Sorry, getting off topic, but how
No,
about
not at all. That is the topic. You're a great client for that. I mean, you decided, you found the property, you used your IRA money to purchase that property. It's been years and you're happy with that decision. And
I'm
the,
very
you know, the,
happy. Yes, yes.
the
Do
rental
do you,
income is,
do you have a self-directed IRA?
I do have a self-directed
Okay.
IRA, and I think it's a wonderful thing.
No, that's what I like to, we practice what we preach. So that's always a good thing to have people like
Right.
that. Um, how about any potential pitfalls or no-nos? I think you kind of touched upon those, but maybe things that we need to avoid if when we own a self-directed IRA.
Sure. So, like I said, there's the two main things are prohibited transactions and disqualified people. And there's just a few rules to those things. Most of them are yeses, but I like to use simple examples so that people understand when you have, just use round numbers, when you have $100,000 in your IRA and it's invested in mutual funds, you never think of having personal benefits from those mutual funds. I mean, if you want personal benefits, you're going to distribute, you're going to sell the mutual funds and take the cash. That's just how that works. But when you invest in a solid asset, like real estate, like a condo, all of a sudden, it's not just the same in your mind as mutual funds were, but the IRS looks at it exactly the same. $100,000 in mutual funds or $100,000 in real estate in an IRA, the IRS looks at it as no personal benefits. It's still just an asset held in the IRA. So you haven't paid the taxes on that yet, but the IRA hasn't. So they're tax deferred. So you have to follow the rules of the IRS, which is no personal benefits. What kind of personal benefits are you can't stay in it? You know, if this is a condo, maybe it's a condotel, vacation rental, that's great for the IRA to have the income coming in, but you can't personally benefit from that. So you can't go stay in it. Or if it's a rental property, the ascendant descendant family line, so you can't have your IRA buy a condo, your mother can't be the tenant, right? This needs to be investment purposes only. Strangely enough, your brother could be the tenant legally. So it's the ascendant descendant family line of the IRA owner. So the IRA owner can't be the tenant and the spouse and the parents and the grandparents and the children and the grandchildren. Those people are disqualified. Periphery relatives, brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles, cousins, they are legally okay because they're a little further away from the IRA owner. So those are things that we look out for. We try to educate the clients as, hey, this is an investment property. This is only for your retirement. This is not to put a roof over the head of your mother. If she needs a roof over her head, then maybe your personal money can help your mother with that, but not your retirement money. So it's really to be thought of as the IRS looks at it as an investment for your retirement years.
Okay. One thing I wanted to do as soon as I got my properties is I wanted to go in and fix it up myself. And I was told that's something that's a no-no also, right?
Correct. So because you're a disqualified person, you can't improve that property yourself. So you can't pick up the hammer and make it worth more. So if you want the property that's a 2-bedroom to be a 3-bedroom, there needs to be a contractor that you hire, you select, and that contractor is paid from IRA funds. So it is definitely possible to improve the property. It just needs to be paid by the owner, and you're not personally the owner. The IRA is the owner.
Makes
So
sense.
if you need to make sure that, you know, you need an extra $50,000 in there to do a bedroom addition, well, you need to make some contributions. You need to have some rental income, building up that cash flow, pay the contractor to improve the property.
That's a good point. And then, maybe that's something we would tackle on another interview in terms of making sure you have enough funding in there for repairs or maintenance once you acquire a rental property if you're buying a real estate through your SDIRA. So that's a good point too. I am an investor, right? I'm thinking as an investor. That's partly why I decided to go the SDIRA route. Investors trying to grow my wealth and build my legacy wealth, I like to use leverage. So I kind of know the answer to this, but I'm throwing it out to you. Can you use leverage in a self-directed IRA?
Yes, you can. And that is a very normal question because people typically get a mortgage when they buy a house, right? So it's not usually an all cash deal with their personal funds. But with an IRA, it's the other way around. It's almost always a 100% cash deal because the IRA has X amount of dollars and the property costs X amount. So, but it's also a normal question that clients ask me all the time. Hey, I want to use just some of my money as a down payment on this property and finance the rest. That's a little more complicated because retirement money is called qualified money. So it's qualified for tax advantages because it's in the retirement account. So qualified money is the money inside your IRA. And the IRA gets a mortgage, and it's not you personally getting the mortgage. It's the IRA is the owner of the properties. Therefore, the IRA is the entity getting the mortgage. So that makes it a little more difficult in the first place. That cuts out a whole bunch of mortgage options because people are like, oh, I've got a mortgage guy that, he does all kinds of things. He's a broker. He can find me the deal. He's probably going to say, I don't handle non-recourse loans for IRAs. There aren't any local companies that I'm aware of that are handling it on an individual basis. I do know there's some local banks that will do commercial loans for IRAs, so non-recourse loan on a commercial property that would be buying the whole apartment building instead of one individual condo, for example. It complicates things, right? I mean, obviously cash talks. If you've got the money in your IRA to buy a property, that's great. If you need to do a down payment, non-recourse lenders are typically looking for 40 to 50% down, and they're going to qualify the loan often on rental history and the property itself. So it is similar to qualifying for a commercial loan. What is that property? Does it need a bunch of repairs? Does it have tenants? Their income? Is there a history of income? Because somebody's going to need to pay the mortgage portion. So that's the non-recourse portion. So the other side about financing with the IRA is, let's just use the example of $100,000 in your IRA and a $100,000 mortgage on a $200,000 property, okay? So if your IRA had $100,000 and it bought a $100,000 property, that rental income would go directly back into the IRA, and there would not be any unrelated business income tax, which is UBIT. When the IRA has $100,000 and it gets $100,000 of mortgage, this is non-qualified money. So it's outside of the IRA being brought into an investment of the IRA. It's not being brought into the IRA itself, but let's say there was $1,000 rent coming in a month on the $100,000 property. And if it was a $200,000 property, there was $2,000 a month. Now, that's probably not going to happen. But for this example, we'd say that. So the $1,000 a month rent coming in is not taxable in that year. If you had the outside mortgage, that extra $100,000, and you got $2,000 of rent from that $200,000 property, some of that $2,000 a month rent is going to be taxable because it's not IRA money. It's outside money making a profit. And that profit is being put into your IRA. Therefore, some of that profit needs to go back to the government as tax. And that is called unrelated business income tax. Now, nobody likes to pay taxes. Nobody likes to pay taxes. But sometimes crunching the numbers makes more sense and say, hey, I realize that $2,000 is rental income coming in, but it's more than the $1,000 if I didn't have the mortgage. And some of that needs to go for taxes, but it's still more than I would have been receiving without the mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens when you finance inside of an IRA. And again, when people have mutual funds, they don't ever think about getting financing on mutual funds. They just buy what they have available in their IRA. So most of our real estate transactions are cash deals, unless they've really crunched the numbers and decided, hey, I'm better off doing with the financing, and I know that I can afford the difference of the taxation.
I like to think of it as the federal government realizing the power of leverage and them wanting their piece of the pie, right? Because like you said, yeah, they need to get their cut, because with leverage, you potentially increasing your power, your buying power, your earning power. So that's why I like leverage.
Another option to getting a mortgage would be tenants in common. And this is often between spouses, the husband and the wife, they each have an IRA. Maybe they can't afford the $200,000. Maybe they each have $100,000 in their IRA and going to buy a $200,000 property. And then they're going to be tenants in common 50-50 or whatever the math going into the investment looks like. Then, there's typically a property manager that's sending the net profits back to the IRAs. They're going to send each of the owners, as they would if it was an individual, two different owners of a property with tenants in common. The property manager is going to send the net profits back to the owners in their percentages. So
that's a good
that's
option.
often, it is a good option for people, certainly when they have a trusted individual that they want to co-invest in the same asset with.
Oh,
So it's not commingling of funds, it's tenants in common with a percentage of ownership. So they still only own 50% or whatever their ownership percentage might be, but they might not have been able to make that investment without the other tenant in common.
So follow up to that, would you be able to do it with say my IRA and then 50% and then tenant in common would be my spouse as an individual? Is that a possibility?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Fine. The other tenant in common can be anybody as long as they're stepping up with the cash, right? If it's 100,000 and 100,000, then your spouse needs to have $100,000 to put into that investment. It can't be mortgaged against that property. You might have a HELOC or something elsewhere, but they need to come up with the cash to be an equal partner or the tenant in common with that percentage.
Cool. I didn't know that. That's something. How about
it could even be you yourself.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be another.
Oh my gosh.
You can partner with yourself. And again, it's not commingling because it's percentages of ownership that's tenants in common.
Got it. Okay.
Wow. You just need to have, the other tenant needs to have their portion in cash.
Okay. Okay. Good. Needs to be in cash. Okay. So how hard is it to set up and fund the self-direct IRA?
The setting up portion is really easy. I mean, it's an online application. It takes about 20 minutes to do. So that portion is simple. We have 3 basic steps, which are open the account, fund the account, and purchase an asset. So opening, super easy, 20 minutes online, $30 application fee. Step 2, the funding. The funding step, we don't have your funds yet, so we don't know how long it's going to take to fund from the other company. So let's say you had an IRA with Schwab. I don't know how long Schwab is going to take. They're typically not going to take very long, but it's typically a couple of days longer than the client wants it to be. So we tell the client, look, this is going to be a process of funding about a week to 2 weeks. Funding by IRA to IRA is called a transfer because they're like kind. It's an IRA here, custodial transfer to New Direction to have a self-directed IRA to have the funds there. When it's a company plan, then it's a rollover because it's not like for like. It's a 401k or 403b or whatever the company plan you might have is rolling the funds into an IRA. So at that point, the company plan rules are what needs to be followed. And we don't know your company's plan rules. So you need to ask your HR or whoever the plan administrator is where you work, hey, am I eligible to do a rollover from my 401k? And that's just a simple question. They're going to say, yes, you are. Or no, you're not 59 and a half. Our plan requires that you're 59 and a half. Or not until you quit, you're fired, or you're no longer a plan member, then it's always a yes. Because when you're an ex-employee and you have an old 401k, the answer on a rollover is always yes. There's no reason because you're no longer an active member of that 401k.
Right. And
so those are typically the funding is transferring from another IRA or rolling over from a company plan. Either way, it's typically about 2 weeks.
Cool. Okay. And I presume majority of the people that are starting up accounts with you are rolling funds over from somewhere else versus just starting from scratch, because
that is correct. Yeah. When they're starting from scratch, they're contributions. So there's contributions, transfers, and rollovers. And contributions are when you put your annual contribution into your retirement account. You get the tax deduction for making that contribution. Your CPA is happy with you that you did that, and you're starting out. Now, there are caps on annual contributions that are not the same as transfers and rollovers because those are already in qualified plans. So when you have money in a retirement account, moving it to another retirement account, it's not a taxable transaction and there's not a cap on that from our side. It might be a cap on the company 401k might say, well, you've been with us for 20 years and you're vested in this plan, so we're going to allow you to move over X amount of funds on a rollover. But contributions, a traditional IRA is going to have $6,500 a year contribution limits, or a SEP IRA, which many independent doctors and realtors and people that are self-employed, simplified employee pensions is like a solo 401k, right? It's an IRA with higher annual contributions. And I think the SEP is a great vehicle because you can put up to 25% of your annual income or $58,000 a year, whichever is less. So that's a lot more than a traditional IRA cap would be 6,500, for example. So the SEP IRA, when I'm talking to realtors, I always ask them, do you have a SEP? And sometimes, yeah, I have a SEP. And I say, well, is it invested in real estate? No. Well, what's your business? Is real estate. Why don't you have real estate in your SEP when that's what you do for a business? Anyways, it's because they don't always know that they can have real estate in their SEP.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that myself. I think, again, going into real estate from accounting and finance, W2 employee, I just was looking for things and different opportunities other than the typical mutual fund with a large financial institution. So that I'm learning things every day.
I think the thing about the self-directed IRA is the control. When you have mutual funds, you have no control over the direction it's going, right? You can buy them, you can sell them, you can hold them, but you can't make them go up. You don't have any control over them going up. When you have real estate, you can buy it, you can sell it, you can have the tenant paying rent, you could increase the rent, you could buy another piece of property, and there's a lot more options and control. And that's the beauty of the self-directed IRA is when you see an investment, you have control and you probably have an interest or a knowledge in that asset.
It's a very good point.
But like control.
yeah, I do. So part of this interview, I'm trying to help viewers who are listening, hearing about the SDRA and then, trying to, get them over the hump. So I was wondering if there are any typical questions that newbie investors that are thinking of opening up a SDRA come to you and ask, while they're in, I don't know if it's like FAQ or just something that, people typically ask you.
Well, I think that typically those are can I do this? Can I do that? Why can't I do this? I want to do that. And those are typical questions in life in general, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the self-directed IRA, those are the things that we try to educate our clients with. So we're never going to tell them, you should invest in this. It's not our job. We can tell them, if you want to invest in that, this is how it has to be legally in the IRA, held as the asset. And again, most of those things are fine. There aren't many prohibited transactions when it comes in general. But it is important that we let them know that if you have a vacation rental condotel and nobody's staying there this weekend, that doesn't mean you could go stay there. That's a prohibited transaction. You're having personal benefits. Now, we're not the cops. I'm not calling the IRS and say, hey, they stayed in their unit last week. But the IRS obviously has ways of finding things out if they do an audit. And that's really, nobody wants IRS problems. And I tried to tell the clients, look, you've got enough money to go get a hotel in Waikiki. Why do you need to stay in your unit down there?
Yeah.
That's gambling with the IRS is not a good thing to do. It's your retirement account. It's supposed to be making money for your retirement, not helping you tomorrow or this weekend because you want to go stay in Waikiki, for example.
You help us keep it clean, keep it separated.
We try.
Yeah,
Good
that's
job.
great. Awesome, man. Dan, hey man, thanks for your time. What is the best way we can get in contact with you if we needed to?
Well, our website is irahawaii.com. So IRAWA HAWAII.com,
Okay.
IRAHawaii.com. I've got an office in town at Restaurant Row, and I'd be glad to talk to people, email, text, Zoom, in person. Not too many people want in-person, meetings anymore, but they still exist, and I'm glad to do them.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have you again next week at the brokerage, so looking forward to
And
that.
thank you again for
Yeah.
that invitation. I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
that too.
I'll put your contact information in the notes below on the YouTube channel. So thanks again,
Thanks.
and have fun sailing, man.
Thank you so much. Take care. Aloha.
You too. Bye. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Besides my self-directed IRA, I also have a solo 401k with checkbook control. Comment below if you want to hear about that, and let me know what kinds of tools you're using to plan for your retirement. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.